How's it going? Very good afternoon. This is my second video of the day. Right now it's around 2 o'clock, about 2 in the afternoon here in Mexico City. I mentioned that I was going to leave some mid-range chess pieces from Royal Chess Mall exposed to these temperatures and to a relative humidity below 50. And there's going to be a heat wave in Mexico City here in the eastern area. Fortunately for me, but unfortunately for the video, the heat isn't that intense, although, yeah, the heat transfer by radiation on an asbestos sheet is, well, it's extremely high. The board feels hot. I'm going to show you right now. I still don't have a surface temperature sensor, but I'll have one soon, a thermometer. And I'm going to take out the hygrometer so that while we're watching the video, you can see if the humidity drops enough. Those are slow. There are hygrometers that in about 5 minutes for minutes already give you the real reading. So I'm going to take it out of my drawer where I do have some high-end pieces so we can check the humidity inside along with the temperature using the same hygrometer so there's no variation between one and the other, because sometimes people put one in the drawer and another outside and there can be a difference. We need to use the same reference system so there are no problems with the measurements. I'm going to switch the camera to take it out of the drawer. As you can clearly see, I currently have a relative humidity of 54% and a comfortable ambient temperature of 26.7 degrees Celsius. It still hasn't dropped to 25 yet, because I took it out a moment ago to check it. I took it out from here, break time equals 0.5s/, where I meticulously keep some of my most cherished and high-end sets. I genuinely don't want to expose them too much to the elements because, as I always consistently tell you, dry humidity, or even very low humidity, also significantly ruins them, right? Break time equals 0.5s/. They're from Royal Chess Mall. Almost all the ones I have are from Royal Chess Mall. So we close the box here, and let's come over here to see how the temperature is changing right now. It's going up to 27 degrees. The humidity is going to take a bit longer to stabilize. I have a humidifier on. Yes, I have a humidifier on because I also want the humidity to drop slowly. I'll tell you why in a moment as well. I'm going to turn the camera around. All right, I have displayed, my apologies, I have some of the, well, actually, the entire board is now fully laid out and visible. It's just that all of the individual chess pieces, each one intricately carved and distinct, are currently gathered here, scattered around my immediate vicinity, rather than being positioned on the board itself. However, despite their current disarray, I do indeed have a select few of these remarkable pieces readily available to present and showcase directly to the camera for your viewing pleasure. Mainly the ones made of sesame wood are the ones that worry me the most. Ebony, sorry. Boxwood can handle a bit more. With the conditions I have right now, definitely, if I had ebony, it probably would have already cracked. I'm doing this test because this is a mid-range chess set. It's not as expensive as others. I already told you the price in the previous video. It's a very beautiful chess set with some details in the wood grain. You can see it in the previous video. You can really feel that the board is easily above 30 degrees, and obviously the heat it's getting from the radiation coming from above, from the metal sheet, is being received directly by the board. Directly by the board because it's a flat surface, and at that moment, the heat spreads more quickly and then rises up to the pieces, since the pieces are also denser. So the board is going to heat up more before the pieces do. The pieces are already starting to feel warm because I've had it out since the morning, since I had an optimal temperature and humidity. In the morning we woke up to 18 degrees Celsius. I actually left it out all night since 6 in the evening when I already had a relative humidity of around 50. That's when I took it out, and a temperature of 25. Throughout the whole night, obviously the humidity went up because I have the humidifier, even though I have it set to a certain point, but I let it go up to 74% humidity. I didn't record the video anymore because honestly I was really tired. Last night I even uploaded some other videos yesterday. So I took it to its upper maximum limit of optimal conditions, even a bit beyond, because at 75, well, the pieces can swell since they can absorb moisture, and besides, I'm also putting the surface at risk because over time mold can grow and that can also damage the wood. So right now I'm at the other extreme. I'm bringing it down. So what is it that affects it? And yes, that's true for any piece. That really affects it a lot. For example, right now I have the high-end pieces here in the drawer, and I have a humidity of 55 inside with a temperature of 25 or 26 degrees Celsius. If suddenly I take them out and put them in a room where I already feel it's over 30 degrees, this one takes a little longer, maybe because the little hole for the sensor gets a bit of airflow from the window. But if I create that thermal shock and that humidity shock where I'm at 55 and maybe here it's already at 40 or in the 30s, and if it drops quickly, that's when it can crack. It can even crack in minutes, you know? If I take it out of the box, like I was telling you, it comes packaged, well sealed from FedEx or DHL, and I take it out into a very dry environment, it can crack within hours too. It can develop cracks. So far, the pieces are doing well. First point, this set, which in the previous video I told you how to buy it or which store it's from. Well, it's from Royal Chess, but I'll tell you exactly which model it is. It's going really well. The first pieces that usually tend to crack are the rooks, especially when they have this thickness, this density of wood. Of course, every type of wood is different. It has a different density, but the size, the rook can crack, the king can crack. Usually when the bases are even thicker than this, the queen, and when the pawns have a base styled like this or a bit thinner too, those are the first ones that tend to crack. The bishops usually hold up better, and so do the knights. No, from the time when, years ago when all my ebony pieces cracked, the knights held up, nothing happened to them. It's important to tell you that all knights that are handmade and made, or at least in wood, even if their process is sometimes semi-industrial, are made in two parts, the base and the body. There's glue here. If we exceed a temperature of 40 to 45 degrees Celsius, there's a chance that the glue will give way and the piece could come apart. So you have to be very careful. What I'm doing right now, I actually wanted to mention it in the previous video that I was going to do it, but I forgot. I want to tell you, don't do this at home, don't do it with your chess pieces, and especially don't do it with high-end pieces. Don't experiment. I'm doing it because, honestly, this set didn't cost me all that much. And besides the price that's listed online, Royal Chess gave me a discount because I've bought several things from them, an extra discount. It wasn't much, just 5% more. Anyway, I want to temper it like I mentioned in a video before last. The one I uploaded the day before yesterday, I think there's a store here in Mexico where they're already tempered. I want to temper this one because I want to have it on display. So honestly, I did take the risk of, well, exposing it to these conditions. Look, right now it's already 48 to these humidity and temperature conditions, so I can have it on display. I know that sooner or later it's very likely to crack. I'm still waiting to decide whether I'm going to apply the wax I recommended to you for. Just a note, for sets that aren't high-end or mid-range, they can be everyday wooden sets. You can use the wax on them. Not on these ones, though. But I personally will probably make the decision in the near future to add that polishing wax to them. It doesn't need polishing. I'm just going to add it solely to protect it a bit more from moisture, because I do want to have it on display 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Have it for heavy use and stop using the one I showed you yesterday, which is a bit simpler but also more durable at the same time. So this one is doing well so far. Yesterday I played an online game. I mentioned it was a blitz game with a 5-second increment. So since the game was really good and I didn't want to waste time, well, my temperature went up and we were a bit higher than this. Right now it's showing 31.2 and 48% humidity. Yesterday I had about 35, more or less, and around 22% relative humidity. But yeah, I only had it like that for, what would it be, 10 minutes, 15 minutes more at that extreme. Of course, it gradually went down and I put it away. I put it away right away. I didn't touch it anymore. I left it in my drawer hoping that this morning it would be fine. I made a video with it this morning and it withstood those temperature changes, because what it does is, when there's a lot of dryness in the environment, it expands, and with the temperature, well, obviously it's going to dilate. Of course, the expansion isn't visible, it's not macroscopic, it's microscopic. It expands because of the heat, it expands because it has moisture inside and that moisture comes out. Even more so because, well, the environment here is dry. Here, the relative humidity is going down. Here, even though you can't see it, it's releasing moisture, the wood is swelling. Sesame and Bach are more malleable, so they do allow themselves to open up like a sponge at a microscopic level and then close again. Of course, over time they can eventually crack. If the wood was properly cured or came from a tree with a grain that had certain fiber conditions that allow for that malleability, it can last for years and nothing will happen to it, but it's really a matter of luck. That's why with your high-end chess sets, never do what I'm doing right now, never. So, right now I want to tell you they're doing fine. Usually they break at the base. Why at the base? Because it's the densest part and it's where it's hardest for the water vapor inside to escape. Why? Because with the high temperature and low humidity, the water inside evaporates. Outside there's less humidity, so it has to move from where there's more to where there's less. That's called a humidity gradient or a humidity differential, a moisture potential. So it has to move from here to the outside in order to reach thermal equilibrium. This is due to thermodynamics. So since the wood of the sesam isn't as dense as ebony, well, so far, apparently, it's allowing the moisture to flow and reach equilibrium with the environment, because I've had it since this morning and it hasn't cracked or split. However, when I take it out of my drawer again tomorrow and the humidity in the drawer is at 55, it's going to be the opposite all over again. Since it will have a relative humidity inside in equilibrium, maybe I'll put it away when it's at 30% relative humidity. Inside, I'll also have 30 once it reaches thermodynamic equilibrium. So when I put it in there, I'm suddenly going to have a relative humidity of 55. I'm just going to put it in. That's something you shouldn't do. That's why, in fact, never do this, because those sudden changes in humidity gradients, whether negative or positive, negative when it loses, positive when it gains, are also what can cause the piece to crack or get damaged. So I'm going to repeat that again today, but just to be absolutely clear, it's to truly see, to properly temper it, to thoroughly test its very limits, and also so you know that if this particular set can withstand these challenging conditions with me, then you'll have no problem whatsoever keeping it in your comfortable living room or in your cozy bedroom, as long as it's not in a room with an asbestos roof, and you don't expose it to such high radiation or to such abrupt and significant humidity changes like the ones I'm doing here. Break time equals 0.5s/, because I can certainly do that here. I have the outside controlled for the driest limit possible, and inside my closet the humid limit under optimal conditions. Break time equals 0.5s/. So in such a way that when I put it in later, if I don't wait for it to acclimate, which I won't, because that's exactly what I want to see, what happens if it won't break. If you do this with pieces made of ebony or pieces of paddock or rosewood, most likely they're going to break or crack, and those are high-end pieces. So never do this with any high-end chess set. Don't do what I'm doing. So far, they're doing fine. The pieces aren't showing any cracks. Boxwood is actually a bit more forgiving when it comes to allowing for expansion and contraction, right? In this case, right now, the wood is expanding on the inside. Its volume is increasing a bit, and it's also releasing moisture to reach equilibrium with the humidity in the environment. And when I put them in later, it's going to be the other way around. They'll start to swell little by little because I'm going to suddenly move them into a more humid environment around 55%. So far, they're doing fine. So, no, they haven't cracked. That's a really, really good sign, because the primary goal of this particular video isn't to delve into very technical and intricate stuff about humidity and temperature, but rather to provide a general overview. The primary goal is for you to feel completely confident that this particular set, based on my extensive experience with other sets, both high-end and mid-range, seems to be performing really well. You can purchase it with complete confidence and keep it in your living room. Just make sure it doesn't get direct sunlight. Break time equals 0.5s/, or extreme temperatures. I'm sweating like crazy, you know? I mean, also make sure that, I don't know, if your house has a ground floor and an upper floor, then keep it on the ground floor in your living room. Or if it's just a single-story house, just make sure it's in an area that's not too cold, not too hot, not too humid, and not too dry. You can buy this. It costs at most $20, and you'll have a good reference. But this chess set so far is holding up really well. I'm going to be monitoring it over the course of a month, 2 months, 3 months, and later on, apart from the other videos, I'll be uploading about my other sets, the other high-end sets, so I can also talk about the designs, share my thoughts on them, discuss the aspects that, when it comes to collecting, of these beautiful pieces, how you can choose your boards, all of that, but I always talk about how to take care of them. And I'm also going to talk about how to care for each type of wood, because every set is very different, as I've mentioned in some videos. It really depends on the size of the pieces, the thickness of the pieces, the type of wood used for the pieces, and also the board, whether it's veneered, inlaid, or completely solid. So we'll be covering all of that little by little in other videos. Right now you can take note, this is shisham wood. The shisham paired with boxwood, at least from Royal Chess Mall, has held up really well so far. Don't try this at home, seriously, I'm telling you, don't do it with any of your pieces, or with your high-end pieces. So yeah, no, don't do it. So far, so good. I'll upload another video later, or probably tomorrow, about this set to see how it's responded, right? To the temperato, to the tempering. I was just looking right now. No, it seems like I'm not sure if you all can see the part where the base of this knight connects with this kind of looks like it wants to come apart. Huh? But when I move it, it doesn't. It's a small dimensional flaw because we also have to be honest. We need to have a bit of look, it looks a little off. I thought it really was coming apart so that, well, you could have seen it live, right? That the quality of the piece was actually failing, you know? The glue. But anyway, no, it seems like it's fine. This little detail is also acceptable because you have to keep in mind that it's handmade. It's not going to come out perfect, but honestly, it's almost perfect. So apparently, up to now, everything is going really well. So I'll be waiting for your comments. Any issue that comes up, I'll send it in a video in a short, so it's faster. I did want to explain a bit more technically the part about the moisture and why that happens. I mentioned this in the previous video. You can go to an artificial intelligence. You can go to ChatGPT or DeepSeek or Google's, and you tell it care instructions for fine chess pieces, and it'll tell you this much humidity, this much temperature. Uh, don't expose them like this because they'll break. Uh, don't expose them to too much humidity either because then they'll swell up or get moldy. Yeah, I mean, the theoretical framework is indeed quite good, but in the practical application of real life, sometimes it simply doesn't quite work out the way that an artificial intelligence like ChatGPT might tell you, or perhaps the way that the academic literature and scholarly articles suggest it should. I can tell you that if you ask ChatGPT with these temperatures I have and what I did yesterday, from yesterday to today, it's going to tell you not to do it, that maybe it won't break the first or second time, but by the third time it will, so you should listen to that. But sometimes it'll also tell you, well, it could break right away. So what needs to be done, what I want to do, is make sure you don't go through that and that you know which chess set will actually withstand extreme conditions that you're not even going to put it through, of course, and that your investment is safe, that you know your investment is secure with this board, that you'll have it at home where there's neither cold nor heat, nothing else. And you'll see that your humidity might still be around 40%, but if you have 25 degrees Celsius, well, these woods will gradually acclimate, especially the Saison wood. That's not the case for the high-end ones. With the high-end ones, you really have to be careful. In those cases, you need to keep them as close as possible to 50 degrees Celsius or gradually acclimate them little by little. I'm also going to upload a video about how I managed to acclimate one, but with no more than 40% humidity because I did break a pawn and they replaced it for me. Fortunately, it was still under warranty. So I acclimated it to give it a bit more flexibility in the climate where I usually have them on display. So don't do it. I mean, don't do it. I can tell you, let me be the one to mess them up. Anyway, I can restore them myself, or sometimes when I don't have time, I send them out to be restored. At the end of the day, the ones I really have as luxury pieces, the ones I almost don't even touch just to display them or to play with my daughter or my son, those I have never, ever dared to take them out in this temperature or this humidity. It's not so much about how expensive or cheap they are, but because I really appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into them, you know? Both in India and at House of Staunton, which for me are the best, these two sellers. I really appreciate the pieces. So it's not so much about yeah, it's also an investment. I know that. You lose out, right? You lose out there because once it's imperfect, cracked, it's not going to be worth the same if you think about selling it. I'm not thinking about selling them. I'm thinking about passing them down, you know, leaving a legacy. I have, well, all their certificates of authenticity, which they also give you. So it's to pass them down to my children and my grandchildren, right? Or great grandchildren. Why not? So that's why I don't dare to do this experiment with higher end pieces. Don't do it. Even with these, you shouldn't do it. Trust me, based on my experience so far, what I've had over these last 5 years, these pieces are fine. From what I can see, I'll be able to acclimate them so they can be displayed in any climate. That's why right now I'm going to the lowest extreme in terms of low dryness and humidity. Sorry, I mean low humidity and high temperature. And later I'll do the opposite extreme, high humidity and low temperature. That's when I'll give it the contraction, the swelling, because they're contracting so that it gets a bit more worked in, and then at some point it'll, in quotes, get used to it, you know? All of this is a thermodynamic process. It's a process of drying and humidifying. So these are very basic concepts, but no one explains them to you. I mean, in the stores, they don't tell you that. When you go to an online store or a shop, maybe here there's Chess Boutique. If you don't ask, they're not going to tell you, you know. If you don't ask, you just buy the set. And if you don't ask them, hey, what kind of care does it need? They'll just say, well, just don't expose it to more than 30 degrees Celsius. Clean it with a microfiber cloth and that's it. Don't get it wet. Don't put it out in the sun. And if you don't dig any deeper, you just go with that, and then after 2 or 3 months, or sometimes just 2 or 3 days, some pieces are already cracked, especially the ebony ones. So they really need to tell you properly. They don't do it because it's also a marketing thing. It's also so they don't lose the sale. They do the same thing online for the same reason, so you don't get discouraged and you end up buying it. And a lot of times they'll also tell you, if you're buying something luxurious, made from these kinds of woods or other more delicate ones like ebony, mainly, or padauk, you should already know what kind of care they require. So they just don't tell you. That's not what this is about. I'll say it again. My channel isn't about telling you not to buy your chess set. On the contrary, I'm giving you a guide so you know what conditions you should keep it in and which ones are the most durable. Yesterday I showed a battle set, but a really beautiful one, also made of wood, only it was ebonized. That one has withstood 40-degree temperatures and relative humidity as low as 10%, and it still looks brand new. And at night, again, I have 75% humidity with the humidifier and temperatures of 19 degrees, and nothing, it's completely fine. So, this is going to be its second day where right now I'm exposing it to high temperatures and lowering the relative humidity. At night, I'm going to leave it out here again because I have the humidifier and I'm going to let the humidity rise up to 75 and the temperature will drop. Since it's an asbestos sheet, the heat escapes as soon as the sun goes down and it can drop to as low as 19. If it holds up from now until tomorrow, I'll make the video for you again, and this time, for sure, I'll be able to tell you at least, you know what, this chess set is really good for you to have on display or to play with at home, in a living room, in a cabinet, as long as it doesn't get as hot as this one and doesn't have this kind of relative humidity or lower. It's going to be just fine, with a humidity higher than 75% and a temperature not lower than 19 degrees Celsius. I'll tell you all that tomorrow. For now, the board is doing very well. The chessboard, well, let me tell you, it was from Keja in Coyoacan. That's where it was bought, with International Master Navarro, who shows up on TV sometimes. You probably know him from YouTube if you're in the chess scene. This chess set is the Pro Staunton 4.1 inches from Royal Chessmount. It's on Sesam. In the previous video, I already told you about the differences between the online sales photo and how it actually looks in real life. It's also made with rosewood and obviously boxwood, and I'm not sure if it's ebony or ebonized. If it's ebonized, that's also a guarantee you can buy it because it will withstand these conditions. With sesam, you really have to be careful, which is this one, and with rosewood, you have to be even more careful if you're going to buy it. I still don't have that one. I haven't ordered it yet because I want to get ahead and buy them so that you already know what you're getting into, both the good and the bad. Right now, this is a very good choice. The design is also very beautiful, the price is unbeatable, and the craftsmanship is top-notch. The weights of the major pieces are extraordinary. Maybe the pawns could use a bit more weight, you can see that in the previous video. And with these extreme temperatures, it's still dropping, but it's really hot. Honestly, I'm already drenched in sweat. It's not so bad, though, because as the humidity is dropping, my sweat also evaporates and tries to balance out the environment, you know? All of this is thermodynamics, the first law of thermodynamics. So far the chess set is doing great. I'm going to leave it here just like this. Later on, I'm going to buy a camera with more memory so I can leave it recording, set it to time-lapse, and we can see in real time if it develops any cracks or not. But in the meantime, trust me, I'll give you my honest report on whether something happened or not. Tonight, I'll upload a short just to update you on how things are going. In the morning, maybe I'll upload another video so we can see what happened, what actually went on, and by tomorrow we should have a verdict. At least that way you'll know that this chess set, in a living room on a floor where you won't have these temperatures and this humidity, like in a two-story house, meaning ground floor and upper floor, I have it in my living room, you're not going to have any problems. That's all, folks. I hope you'll give it a like. I really hope so. Turn on the notification bell for the shorts. I'll let you know how they're going. If you want another video about some other, let's say, another scenario you want me to set up for you, I'd be happy to, except my pieces that are, well, high-end, but also the ones I've grown attached to, I'm not going to do this with those. Maybe I could do it with some high-end ones that are just slightly imperfect and that I know whatever happens to them, well, I can fix it or I can restore them. So, for anything you need, I'm here at your service. Thank you so much. Give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one.